Yes, first of all, thank you very much once again for agreeing to meet with me and for this interview. Before the interview begins, I'll just like to first acknowledge your track record on the issue of human development, growth, and poverty. So for decades now, Francis, you've been researching extensively on inequality and the links between human development and growth. You have many renowned publications to your name on this topic. You've, in the past, been the president of the Human Development and Capability Association. You've also directed several research programs around this nexus. Now then, it goes without saying that your work has been held in high esteem and has also had significant influence on both research and policymaking. Reflecting this has been the UNDP's, for example, the UNDP's Mahbub al-Haq Award, which you received, I believe, in 2009 for your lifetime achievements on promoting human development. So now, of course, that in the Chronic Poverty Advisory Network at ODI, we are very honored that you are here and available to speak with us. So then, moving on to the questions, my first question to you is a general one. So specifically, I was wondering if you could summarize for us the relationship between human development, poverty, and growth.
Yes, well, the basic point is that human development and growth are very closely related. On the one hand, you just need human development for growth. You need educated people, healthy people, and so on. And that feeds into economic growth. And without people, you wouldn't get the economic growth. On the other hand, it's the economic growth that provides the resources to pay for the education, the health, the food, and so on. So that is why human development is essential for growth, and growth is essential for human development. But I wouldn't say it happens automatically. There are lots of links that we have to explore. For example, you might get a situation in which you had good growth, but government spent nothing on education, so you wouldn't get the education coming out of it. So it does depend on what governments decide to do, or it depends on how the income is distributed.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting. Thank you. Well, then, to follow up on that slightly, would you say that revisiting these issues more recently has led to any surprises that you found?
Well, each time one visits these things, one gets slightly different results, and I guess the most surprising result we've got in the most recent visiting was that we didn't find that economic growth actually was particularly associated with improved education, secondary education. And previously we have found that it was, so I don't know why there's been a change in that respect, but that was a bit of a surprise. I guess the other one isn't so much a surprise, but in the statistics, the income distribution doesn't come out very clearly, and you would expect it to.
I see. Okay, so far I've asked a bit about what's been found so far. So now just to turn that on its head a little, looking forward, what new direction would you see the work around human development and growth taking in the near and maybe even not so near future?
Well, one thing that we really need to know is how you go from a bad situation on growth and human development to a good situation. And we have started work on that, but there's a lot more to be done. How can you get good transitions? That's one side. But I think another absolutely critical area which we have to be aware of in everything we do nowadays is the question of the environment and sustainability. We have to think about human development as not just the human development of people alive today or average alive today, but also of the future generations. And if we are achieving very high human development today at the expense of the future generations, well then we need to think, is this a success or not? So we need to build the environmental sustainability into our analysis. And it really hasn't been built into economic growth, but it hasn't been built into human development either.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. You actually answered the last question I had, which was also around what are the policy implications on some of these findings. So if you have anything else, final thoughts to add?
Well, the big policy, apart from environment, I think what we have shown with our work on human development and economic growth is that you can't expect to get economic growth if you sacrifice your expenditure on health and education. So a lot of the stabilisation and adjustment policies, the first thing they do is to say, cut your expenditures. And we see that in Europe at the moment, the austerity budgets, cut your expenditures. And the justification is this is the way we have a healthy economy. I think what we've found is this is exactly not how to have a healthy economy. A healthy economy requires you to spend on these things. So whatever you do in a crisis, you shouldn't cut your expenditures on health and education.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for that short snippet of insightful discussion.